£4 12 ounces, put up a fantastic scrap. Lovely deep bodied fish, big old tail on him. Well, welcome to another Fishing Tail Films, and welcome from the Angler's Den. Now this is my first video of 2025, so first I want to wish you all a happy new year, and hopefully you had a fantastic Christmas. Now I was hoping to get out and do a bit of perch fishing this weekend, but of course the temperatures have been like that for quite some time now, and we've had a fairly mild spell over the Christmas period. And from experience, when you get a sudden drop, when we've had like -3, I think it was -4 overnight, the pond's all iced over in the garden, and also the little bird bowl we've got is absolutely solid. It's about that thick. So I thought I'd leave it for this weekend, for the simple reason that when you get them sort of sharp cold spells, especially for the perch fishing, any fishing really, it can knock it on the head a bit. If I'd gone yesterday or the day before, it would have been probably okay, but back to work, got to go to work unfortunately. So next weekend, I'm looking at the sort of the forecast, it's looking, or towards the end of next week, it's looking quite good again. The temperatures are creeping up a little bit, so this will get the water temperature down, and then we'll have a fairly slow increase as we go along next week and beyond, where I'm hoping and I'm planning to film 3 perch videos in January. So I'm really looking forward to that. So as much as I was raring to go, I've got all the bait ready. The old grey matter kicked in, and I thought, well, hold fire, because I think next week and then onwards it's going to be perfect for a bit of perch fishing. So that's what I'm going to do. And so I thought, well, I'll make a little video from the Angler's Den on some of the things that you can see on display, some of my fishing memories. And it's been some of the viewers that have suggested, why don't you sort of do a video about some of the items in your Angler's Den. I've had some on underneath some of my videos, on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page as well, suggestions, and of course some emails as well. So I thought, well, yeah, that'd be a good idea. Any excuse to chat fishing is always good in my books, and I've got some real good memories sitting around, because I've been looking for stuff to put into the Angler's Den. It's stirred up a whole load of memories for me, because I've come across some items that have just been sitting in an old box, in an old tackle box, in a cupboard, tucked out of the way, not seen for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden you stumble across a float, a reel, a bait dropper, and it just stirs up so many memories. And there's stuff that I'm going to sort of chat about in this video. There's about 8 different topics, fishing topics, that I'm going to talk about, and hopefully you'll find them of interest, and they might stir up some memories of your fishing days as well. Hopefully they will. And I'm going to end on what I consider at the moment, because we always feel, don't we, that our next session is going to produce that best angling moment of our career. But about 7 years ago, we're 2025 now, so it's about 7 years ago, coming up to 7 years ago, in my opinion, what I'm going to chat about, and I'll leave it to the end, is the best angling moment that I've had so far to date. So I'll leave that to the end, and a very, very special occasion that was for me, that gave me a wonderful feeling on the bankside when I slipped that fish in the net. So I'll chat about that right at the end. And yeah, so big plans for this year with the channel. Going to make many more videos, which I'm looking forward to, on all various species. But at the moment I'm going to be concentrating on catching some nice big perch, and hopefully that will happen all in front of the Fishing Tail Films cameras. So this sort of video is about my goals, my targets, and some memories on some of the items that you can see in front of you, and I've got a couple of others tucked away that I'll bring out as and when I come to that particular subject. And many of you know that have been following the channel would have known that last year I had a goal, I had a target of trying to reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of 2024, last year. And I'm really pleased that I achieved that with a few weeks to go. I must admit, I think it was sort of round about sort of late November that I managed to get over that 2,000 subscribers mark, by people like yourselves very kindly subscribing to the channel, liking the videos, and making some marvellous comments about how much you enjoy the videos, which is fantastic to read, and it spurs me on. It really does spur me on to make even more videos. And I surpassed the 2,000 mark come the end of 2024. So pleased, and can't thank you all very much. So I've set myself another target. Whether I achieve it or not, no idea, but I'll have a go. It's always fun, isn't it, having a go, trying stuff. But I want to try and see by the end of 2025 if I can reach 4,000 subscribers. I know it might seem a bit way off, a bit wacky, but that's round about another just over 1,500 more subscribers to reach that target. So that'll be my plan. And actually, when I look at all the analytics behind all the videos that I do, 73% of people that watch my videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. And I was quite taken aback by that. I thought, wow. And I know when I watch other YouTube channels as well, they also mention that a big percentage of their viewers, people that watch their videos, are not subscribed to the channel. Now it's free to do, or as long as you've got an email address. It takes a couple of minutes just to sign up. So if you go to subscribe to the channel, you'll get a little box come up on YouTube or Google, and you just fill in a couple of details. Takes seconds really, as long as you've got an email address, and away you go. You can then subscribe, you can then like, and you can also hit that bell notification symbol as well, because then that will tell you when a new video is uploaded. So fingers crossed, that's my target. I've told you. I said that I was going to let people know what my target is for this year. It's 4,000, and wouldn't it be great if I could get somewhere near it? Let's hope so. My fingers are certainly crossed. So let's talk about some of the items that are on my shelf. So before I start to chat about some of the items, some of my fishing memories that I hope that you're going to enjoy, I must give a special mention to my daughter Rebecca, because she's also been helping me to create this Angler's Den. So thank you, Rebecca, for your help, and I know that you will continue to support me and help me, because it's still a project ongoing. I think any Angler's Den will always be ongoing. So she's been great, and she enjoys her fishing as well, and we are planning to make a fishing video together at some point. So Rebecca, let's get that fishing gear out and let's go fishing in 2025, because I know it's been a while since you've wetted a line, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be quite good. Her favourite species is tench, so maybe we'll do a bit of tench fishing in the spring, if not sooner. So the two reasons why we've created this angler's den is so that first one is so that I can sort of display really, I guess, some of my fishing life, if you like. Some of my journey into my fishing life is sitting on these shelves. It's quite amazing when you look back, and there's still some stuff that I haven't recovered yet. So when I do it, it'll also start appearing on the back wall here. And of course, these prints are new by Rob's Pencil Prints on Etsy, and they look absolutely splendid, really nice. And they're only like sort of, if you get them unmounted, they're like $9.99, which is really good. And he does lots of other stuff. He does animals and all sorts. So if you've got someone that got a little dog, favourite dog, he'll sketch that as well. So it's a little bit dearer for the portrait side of things. So it's definitely worth checking out on Etsy. Rob's Pencils Portraits. So let's talk about the first item on the shelf, and my dad was the biggest influence to me when I started fishing, because at the age of 2, as I've mentioned before in other videos, he took me fishing, and that's where I got my fishing bug from. If it wasn't for him, then I probably wouldn't have fished. And this is a reel that he used to use, and I've got lots of memories of my dad fishing with this. It's an Abu 506, and it's still in working order, all functioning. And I used to sit and watch him fish with this reel. We used to fish with this all over on the rivers, on the lakes. He'd catch tench on it, he'd catch roach, he'd catch perch. Yeah, he caught a lot of fish. He loved his fishing, and especially roach. Roach was his favourite species, and he even had a couple of spools, aluminium spools made up. The line, God knows how old that line is, probably, well, could be 20, 30, maybe 40 years old. And you could see Mark went up a £6 line, 100 metres, £2.5 line, 100 metres as well. But these were made especially for the Abu 506, and it's still smooth, still functions. It's a lovely looking reel, made in Sweden, and so that I've always cherished that reel. And he did let me use it a couple of times, and I always felt nervous about using it because I knew at the time that it was his favourite reel. And so it's really nice that I've got it. It's on display, and something I'll always treasure. Brilliant. Abu 506. I think you've got the old drag reverse, drag settings on there, minus and plus. And it's got Abu there, Stavenska. Fantastic. So that's the first item that I want to talk about. And also, as part of that, another Abu. This was the one that I used to fish. It's the 501, and these reels are well over 40 years old, and again in working order. And that's the spool that come with it, because you used to get a spare spool. It's a real shame that a lot of reels these days, that when they're sold, you don't get any spare spools with them. You have to buy them separate. It's just the way, unfortunately, the way of the world that it's gone. But again, a lovely reel, and drag setting on there as well. Like I say, it functions perfectly. And again, I had so many fantastic days as a young man fishing away on these reels. We used to fish the Suffolk Stour a lot. We used to go out because we used to live in London at the time, in East London, and then we'd travel up with one of Dad's mates, Ernie Green his name was, and then we'd go up and fish like places like Pitmore Lock, Bures, La Marche, Glemsford, all on the LAA ticket. The LAA have lost some of them waters, but they've still got some. They've still got Bures, they've still got Glemsford, but nowhere near as many waters as they used to have, especially on the Suffolk Stour. And every now and then I'll go back on the Stour and fish it, and I'll have to make a video on it as well. So it's really loads of memories in those two reels there, and they've produced an awful lot of fish as well. So there you go, that's the first item. I'm chatting about the Abu reels, the 501 and the 506. Loads of memories there. Now the second piece of equipment I want to chat about is another reel. It's another closed-faced reel, and this was brought out to kind of rival the Abus that I've just been talking about. And this is the Shakespeare 2260 Match International reel, and this also has backwind on it as well, which some of the Abus didn't have at the time. And lovely reel. It's funny, when I bought it at the time, because I was probably 15. It's probably a present actually, like a birthday present. It cost £16.50. This is in 1978, and so I would have been about 15, 16 when I started using this reel, and I kind of felt guilty because it was like almost as if I was turning me back on the Abu, the 506 that I've got. But of course I still used the Abu as well. And spare spools for these cost £1.10. I think it weighed something like 10 ounces, and the sort of turn ratio was 3.71 to 1. You know, and it was, again, I used to fish it on the rivers, on a bit of lake fishing as well, a bit of light lake float fishing, and it was just brilliant to fish with, you know. And again, lots of memories. I don't know if this is, it used to stick a bit, which is probably why I stopped. Sounds a bit groundy, a bit grindy, but where the Abus are still quite smooth. Oh, it sounds a bit better there. But yeah, it was. I suppose if I could choose, the Abu for me every time was probably the better reel, I guess. But it came with a reel case that I've got somewhere, and a free reel case, and quite padded as well, which was a nice touch, and also a spare spool as well. So there you go, that's my second item that I want to chat about. So we've chatted about the Abus, and then there was the Shakespeare's closed face reel there, the 2660. I think they also done a 2650 as well. Some of them had like an anti-reverse situated about there as well, that was on there. Probably, I think that was the first models that come out. So I'm sure, I actually think I was about 15 when I started using it, and I think the anti-reverse models come out a little bit later, probably in around 19 or the late 70s. A long time ago, that's for sure. They're not only has fishing come a long way, some of it good, some of it not so good, but the technology is kind of second to none there. We know an awful lot more about fishing than we obviously used to, regards to fish habits and how they feed, and temperatures, air temperature controls, and air pressure, barometer pressure and all that. And technology with regards to the photographic side of it has just gone through the roof. I mean, the technology I'm using now to video this video and then upload it to YouTube, and that, it's just well, it wasn't even a thought process, a thought pattern all them years ago. And I do regret the fact that, I mean, you can just go fishing there with your mobile phone. You can do a little bit of filming on it, and you can also do self takes, and any fish, set the timer up and have a nice photo done. But when I first started fishing, that wasn't an option. It wasn't at all. And I used to carry this around in my fishing bag. It's the Kodak Tele Extra 32 camera, and couldn't take any self takes with that, unless you had 3 hands, of course. But it was basic. I didn't use it an awful lot, because if you were fishing on your own, we did have a timer facility on it. And I'm talking about, I'm going back to the 70s now, and also into the 80s when I used to use this. It had film. Obviously film was the only way that you could, used to go in there, used to slot the film in there, lock it, roll it a couple of times till number 1 appeared, and then you start snapping, and the functions it had on there was, for the bright sunny days, click it on the sun symbol, and then for those cloudy days it showed a cloud. Whether it really made a lot of difference, I don't know. Then you had, like, on the lens you had normal, I suppose 32mm, and then you click over to, if you wanted a long shot, a long view, you had a telly, what they call a telly button. And it also, I never ever used it, but I think you could get probably about as the most technology it could go. You could fit a light in there, like a little light bulb that used to go up, but it used to be quite dear at the time, really, so I never used to bother with that. You just use the normal sort of button for most photos, and then hopefully if it was a sunny day, and then handle as well, which was quite good, but it was very limited. Still works. I don't know whether you could get a film for it anymore, and I've still got some photos that I need to go through from this camera that I used to take, some pictures of that big pike I caught and stuff like that. So that's one of the other items that brings back an awful lot of memories, and I'm so pleased I've still got it, because when I look at that I can actually remember the days when I used to use it down at Wanstead Park quite a lot, in sort of on the East London Essex border. Chatted about Wanstead Park, all the perch ponds, the boating lake, and then over the back you had the ornamental ponds as well, which had lots of tench and crucians in there, which were two of my favourite species, set in lovely grounds. You had an old, I think, the Anne Boleyn ruins there as well. She had like a castle, and it was in pretty poor state then, even back in like the 70s and the 80s. I believe someone was, I think Barry Boyd, who lives in that way, or used to come from that way, is telling me that that lake's all dried up now. So, which is very, very sad. And like I say, I had lots of great memories there. The River Roding used to run down the back as well. I used to fish that a few times, catch little roach and sticklebacks and all sorts, little days, and chublets, minnows. Good days, happy days, and any excuse to go out fishing in my youth, I did. And a lot of memories were stored and taken with that very old Kodak 32. Well, the next item that I want to chat about, this is number 4, is a rod I used to fish with. Probably, I don't know, I reckon this rod has got to be at least 50 years old. It's nothing special, it's not worth anything value wise. It's, I know you get like a lot of split cane rods that are worth a lot of money and stuff, but this ain't. It's got like the brass ferrules on it, and I've been trying to make out the make of it, and it's so old that all the, like, there was like a little sticker on there, but it's come off. I know just can't make head or tail of it. But it's got a full cork handle, and nothing shaped at all. It's just basically round, and it was slightly fatter at one end where the rod went in. That was so that the real handle fittings didn't come off on it, because you lost them. That was it. You were knackered, and it was just a lovely bit of kit back in the day, and I had so many fantastic days fishing with it. 3-piece. I think it's made of like some sort of a glass. Some of the eyes of, I think my dad probably repaired it, and he taped it over, so they're hanging there on tape. It did the job, but on the end is, and I, in those days, you used to get rods where you had the end eye, and then also on the attachment you had like a little screw attachment, and on there you could screw in like a swing tip, or what I used to use quite a lot was like a little quiver tip, like a carbon. As it went on, you used to get like little carbon stems that used to be about that long, different, with eyes on it, and it was like an extension bit, so you could turn your float rod into like a little quiver rod, and I used to use it with that. It was a little bit floppy in the hand, you know. I used to use like I wish I'd kept them, or I think they just fell apart and got rid of them, like a Black Prince reel, Mitchell match reels. I wish I'd kept my Mitchell matches. I remember trying to repair one once, because the bow arm spring always used to go on them, and I remember like getting a screwdriver, turning the screw, and it just exploded in my hand. It was bits of reel all over the place, and I think I ended up just throwing it away after sitting in a box for about 3 or 4 years. I wish I'd kept it. I did have about 2 or 3 Mitchell matches, and but the best memory I've got of using this rod was we'd been down. I'm trying to think where we were. There was me and my uncle, and how we used to fit into. He had a little mini, and I don't know how the 3 of us got in there with all our tackle. I mean, I used to be in the back, and I used to have like rod bags across me, and I have a bag on me, and that wasn't very comfortable. I must admit, but it's the only way that we could fit it in. And on the way back, because we used to use keep nets a lot, then I'd have this stinky, smelly keep that wafted like bream slime, and that wafted on a hot day. Not very nice, but used to do it just to get out and go fishing. But the best memory I've got of this is we're trying to think where we'd been to on the day. But we might have been somewhere on the road we were like Debden, around that area. We were coming back, and there was like a little bomb crater in the Epping Forest. It was may even still be there, and we used to come off Park Hut. We've been there 2 or 3 times, and I used to love it. It was like this. It was really deep, as you would imagine, being a bomb crater, full of water, but it was full of fish as well. It had small carp in there at the time. But it had lots of rudd, and I used to love fishing with a quill, as I used to fish a lot at the time. Fishing away, catching loads and loads of tiny rudd on this rod, and I was probably not even a teenager then, so it's a long while ago. And so that's the standout memory I've got of using that particular rod, and what great days they were. Right, that's the rod tucked out of the way. I'll probably at some point have it on the wall there, you know, as an old little memory of those days. Now the next item I want to talk about is a really interesting story on this one, and it's this piece of equipment here. This is my dad's old bait dropper, and he carried it everywhere with him, and I had a match on at Cheshunt. It was a Christmas match. on the river. It was so it would have been obviously probably December, late sort of mid-December, and in them days you had lots of really good attendances, and there was something like probably about 80 anglers. And I went down with my mate, and we managed to secure a ticket. And but I wasn't driving then. I must have been about 17, I reckon. We were both 17. So we would go up by train, because there was the station right next to the River Lee at Cheshunt, where the car park was. So we caught a train up to a couple of different connections to Cheshunt station, and I had a wicker basket. So I remember having that plumped on my lap on the train, and my mate, he just had a carrier bag of bits of tackle, a rod, a landing net, and not much more, a seat, and that was it. That's all that he had. And I had my wicker basket, my rod holder with a few rods and bits and bobs in it. And my dad let me, because I said to him, "Oh, can I borrow your bait dropper?" And he said, "Well, you can, as long as you don't lose it." And so I said, "Right, okay, yeah, that's fine, I won't lose it, promise." Because I wanted to use, put a bit of, I think I had a bit of worm with me, a little bit of chopped worm, and put a bit of maggot in and drop it in on the first ledge on the canal, and then sort of fish over that as the day went on. So in them days I used to, on the canal circuit, you'd fish really light, very, very light. And there was two errors on the day. The first one was, in those days I used to use the gold hooks. I used to get them, hooks to nylon. I think Pegley Davis is an old name there, an old blast from the past there. Pegley Davis hook, they were gold pattern hooks, and they were like, I used to use 18 and a 20. And do you think that I could find these hooks? So I had like a little hook wallet, and they still have somewhere, and I couldn't find the hooks in there. I think, well, I've just bought some. Where are they? I'm hunting around in my other tackle box, and I couldn't find them. All I could find was like the bronze version of them, which I didn't really want to use, but I had no choice. So that they were like the only hook that I had that were going to do the job. So I set up one of them, and it had like a £1 one bottom on it, very light, size 18, well, might even been a size 20. It was cold, there was a frost on the ground, and I was drawn next to one of the Vincent twins. I think it might have been Dave Vincent, because there was Dave and Mick Vincent, and I was drawn next to one of them, and so I started setting all my stuff up, and like I say, I'm trying to find my gold hook pattern, because they were a really strong hook, and they just gave me confidence. It just felt right. And anyway, I couldn't find them, so I've set up, and then the whistle's gone, keep net's gone in gently, and so I've hooked up the bait dropper, opened it up, put some, I think I had a little bit of hemp, put some maggot in there, a little bit of worms, some little worms in there, closed it up, lifted it up, and as I went to just swing it out gently, because it was quite heavy, I must admit the old rod was, my hook link snapped, and it just plummeted straight into the water. And I'm just like staring away at this ripple, and that was the start of my match. So the first thing you can imagine what I'm thinking about is, how am I going to now go home later today, or later that day, and explain to my dad that I've lost his favourite bait dropper. And I was just done me head in for 10 minutes. I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I don't believe it. I cannot believe it. Not even started and I've lost his bait dropper. Snap. What an idiot. Fancy using a 1.1 bottom, But you're young, and made a big mistake there. Anyway, so cleared me in and I started fishing, and to the left of me swimmer I had like a tree that was overhanging, no leaves on it because they'd all fallen off. In them days we had proper winters, and I was, as I always fish with, a quill. It was about that big. It's probably in that box. I'll talk about that box of quills another day. It's red tip, and in those days I used to love fishing 2 foot over depth. Everywhere I went I'd always fish 2 foot over depth, whether it was on the boating lake at Wanstead. So cast out and just pinged a few maggots over the top, sitting there beating myself up at the fact that I'd lost my dad's bait dropper, and thinking of all different ways that I could explain to him how I've lost his bait dropper, and trying to think of the least painful way that I could tell him that I've lost his one of his favourite pieces of kit. Anyway, and 2 hours had gone and I'd caught one little chablet. No one was really catching at all. Not even one of the Vincent twins next to me. He was blanking. And I was sort of staring at me float, feeling a bit sorry for myself, and also I'd just see me float just dip. Was that a bite? I thought. I was on double maggot at the time. Whether it was white, red, yellow, I can't remember. But I know it was 2 maggots. And then all of a sudden the float just started moving along, and then very slowly just slid away out of sight. And I've counted to 2 and I've lifted into it. The rod's bent over and I've got a real good fish on here. And I remember, I'm sure it was Dave Vincent, he's going, "What you got there?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "I'm not sure." I said, "But it's a good fish." And he's going, "You land that, I reckon you'll win the match alone just on that one fish." He said, "No one's hardly caught anything. Probably Ounces is winning it," putting a bit of pressure on me. So I'm playing this fish, and I'm thinking, oh no, I've got them silly little bronze hooks on. I can't pull too hard. And I'm playing this fish, and it's sort of gone up, sort of turned around. It's going up to the right, and I had it on. It seemed like I had it on forever. And it was probably a couple of minutes I was playing this fish, and then all of a sudden it pulled away and I pulled out of it. I was distraught, absolutely distraught. I reeled in, and halfway up the hook length, so the hook length was about that long, halfway along the line had snapped. I was thinking, so I had another look to see if I could find the gold hooks, because I felt that had slightly heavier line on. I think it was like sort of £1 10 ounce. I'm on 1.1. Couldn't find it, so I had to put another bronze hook on again with a 1.1 hook length, double maggot, cast back out again, about almost in the same spot. About an hour later, with probably half an hour of the match to go now, and I'd had two fish, and it was almost like the fish had come back to give me another go, because the same thing happened again, the same bite, the little dip, and then it moved slowly away, and I've struck and I've excuse me, back into the fish again, and I'm thinking, right, okay, I'm not gonna, and then Dave Vincent's going, right, don't, make sure you get this one in, you'll definitely win the match with this, because like I say, not even a pound's winning it, because word gets about. And anyway, 2-3 minutes later, same thing happened again, pulled out of it, and where the hook was, it had come away, and that was it, that was my match over. So that day consisted with losing a bait dropper and losing 2 big fish, and I'm thinking, I don't believe it. I thought, well, if I could have if I could have landed that fish, I would have won a few bob, could have bought me dad a new bait dropper. First prize was a Christmas hamper, but God knows how we was going to get that back on the train. and that was it. So packing up, really, absolutely distraught, really down in the mouth. I wonder how my mate's gone. He was round the bend, probably about another 40-50 pegs away, and had no idea how he'd got on. So I pulled me net back in the water, and what was hanging on the end of me keep net? That the bait dropper was hanging on the end, and I've gradually lifted it up slowly and just grabbed the bait dropper, and I thought, oh my God, thank God for that. I don't. What a relief. Losing them two fish, went out the window, forgot about them. I got me dad's bait dropper back, and then I thought, well, what a story I can tell him now. And he won't get mad at me. Not that he ever did anyway. But there you go. I lost it and found the bait dropper in the same day, and lost them two bloody big fish that would have won the match, because I think like £1, 3 ounces won it, and me mate won his section with 10 ounces. What a great day. Well, the sixth item that I want to chat about is these two little silver goblets there, and these were won by me and the wife back in the season, what was it, 1988 to 89. That's a few years ago, isn't it? And Tunnel Engley Club, who I was a member of at the time, they were based in Essex. They were, every now and then, they had, I think it was the first year they held a pairs match, or was this the second? I think it was the second year that they held a mixed pairs match. And so I thought, well, that was interesting. So I managed to persuade the missus to come fishing with me, and we went to, the match was being held in Brentwood in Essex on water, one of our club waters called the Oaks, and it was a lovely water. I assume it's still there, and it was full of tench, small carp. It was a fairly new water, because it was like it hadn't been dug out that long, probably a couple of years previous to it, so there wasn't a lot of vegetation around it. It had an island in the middle, but it was like, like these new lakes when they're built, they're just like mud baths all the way around. And this would have been sort of around about September time, or maybe August, September, so it wasn't too cold. And you'd fish side by side, so there'd be two of us next to each other, and we had two rods. You basically were fishing underneath your rod tip, no need to go too far out. And we had a great day between us, catching tench and roach and rudd and stuff like that, and we were catching away, and I'm thinking, I reckon we got a chance of winning this, we really have. And turns out that we had top weight, we were about £10 clear, and we won it. We need a bit of a clean up. Like I say, these have been in the box up in the loft for God knows how long, so I need to give them a little clean up, or more than a little clean up. But yeah, they were a special day, and we were chuffed to win those. And because the Oaks Lake, there was another lake just next to it, but set up a bit, and Elm Park and Old Church Angling Club used to run that lake, and we used Tunnel and Elm Park used to have like inter club matches. There'd be like 4 or 6 of us and 4 or 6 of them. One sort of date in the season they'd fish on our water, the Oaks, and then a couple of times we'd fish. I think there was another club involved as well. There was like 3 clubs, and we'd fish on their water. And in them days, they had a very good match team. They had Kevin Knight, Eddie Fever, Tony Oakley. They're three that I can remember. And because Kevin Knight, as many of you will know, he was a real good match angler, but he went into the carp scene, and he's the man that's behind mainline baits. So I used to fish against Kevin all them years ago, and now he's done really well for himself with one of the top branded bait companies, not only in the UK, probably in the world. He's done really well, and that's mainline bait. So just shows you what a small world that we all live in. So happy days, happy memories. Me and the missus winning the mixed pairs all them years ago. I won't get her. She won't go fishing now with me though. I've tried. Now, it's not surprising that tackle boxes these days are made out of very light plastic materials, because in the old days we used to fish with these old wooden tackle boxes, float boxes, and they weighed a ton even without anything in them. And then when you think you used to stick it in a wicker basket that used to weigh a bit, and all your other stuff, your flask, coffee, your reels and your ground baits and all that, and before you know it, you're humping quite a fair old weight around the bank. And I come across this box in one of my cupboards, and when I looked in it, and I thought, well, I'll stick the box in the angler's den, and then I come across this old float, and it's got Marley Paqueta on it, and whether that's Spanish or French, I don't know. I don't really know how I come about the float. I don't ever recall buying it in the shop or ever seeing them in the shop. It may be a float that I found on my fishing travels. Sometimes you might see one stuck up in the margins or up in a tree and that. And I slung it in my tackle box, and back in the only time I ever used this float was in the early 80s on a Tunnel Angling Club match in Essex, Ellis Lake, which was just off the A13. And when we got there, and as expected, the lake we were fishing was iced over. So we had the draw as normal. I think I drew peg 9 or 10. There was sort of 30 odd pegs on there. And got to the swim, got the ice breaking stuff out, and just broke a little bit around the edges by the reeds, because I know that's roughly, where the fish are probably going to be. And I set the float up about 2.5 foot deep. It was like a 3 pound main line, a size 24, 22 hook, and a single pinky. And I was feeding little sloppy balls of Super Cup ground bait, which was a ground bait I still use today. And I was sort of just flicking bits out, the odd maggot. I didn't want to overfeed too much. And after about, 2 hours, float slid under, and I caught a little roach. And up until then, I don't think anyone had caught a fish. So I thought, well, maybe that is a match winner, that roach, that. And anyway, I ended up catching a few more as the match went along. It was bitterly cold, I remember. My hands being like blocks of ice. Me feet, my toes were cold, because in them days we don't get the boots we've got now. And wow, I think I had them Boom 80 boots. Remember the Boom 80s? And which weren't too bad, but sometimes you had like fur lining, but my feet were getting cold. And I won the match in the end with £1.5 £5. In fact, I was the only person to actually weigh in, and so I never used the float again since. So I've got 100% record with this float. This float is certainly a match winner, that's for sure. And like I say, how I come about it, I don't really know, but I remember fishing with it that day, and nice little memory there of catching a few fish, picking up a few pound coins, and it won me a trophy as well. It clinched me the Victor Ladorum trophy. So it would have been probably January maybe even February that took place, but a happy memory of a special little float that I'll probably never ever use. Well, we're coming towards the end of this little video, which hopefully you're enjoying. And at the start of the video, I did say that I was going to talk about what I consider at the moment my best angling moment in fishing. And it was about 7 years ago. It was in April. The date was 5th of April 2018 to be precise, when I went up to one of my favourite places called Leamington Lakes, which is currently closed. It's been closed for 2 or 3 years now. I think it's actually up for sale. I'm surprised it hasn't been sold, because it's just a stunning place. It's in the Cotswolds. It's not far from, I think the nearest village is Moulton on Marsh, or Moulton in Marsh, Moulton on Marsh. Beautiful place. I've been there about 3, 4, 5 times. Most of the times with my mate Keith. And on this occasion, I went up with the missus, because they had lovely little lodges there, and I thought, well, I could be out if it's cold, which it was. If I'm out fishing, she could, she'd be nicely tucked away in the lodge, because you could basically live in the lodges there. A bit of TV on, and she could read a book and make a cup of tea when she wanted, and all that. And so I was out fishing Abbey Lake, which I knew contained big roach in there. And it had always been, because I've been a match angler for over 40 odd years, I never really got the chance to target certain species like roach, tench, perch and stuff like that. Every now and then during a match you'd catch a big species, but I never, up until then, had caught one over £2, a roach that is. I remember on the River Arun in a summer league match catching one. It was half an ounce underneath the £2 mark, one 15.8 river roach, and because I asked them to weigh it separately, because it was the biggest roach I'd caught at the time. So anyway, I'm fishing on a swim right in the corner of Abbey Lake. It's very, very cold. The water was cold, so we were sort of coming out of winter, and obviously spring was just round the corner, but it still had that winter feel about it. And I was fishing a 13-foot float rod, a running pole float, and fishing close in, just maggot. And I was feeding maggot and fishing maggot, and I think it was a 6 number 8 pole float. Shots were strung out so that it would then fall slowly through the layers of the water, in case any fish were up competing for the maggots as I was flicking them out. And I was having a marvellous day. I was catching roach. I didn't have a roach under £1 and I had a 30 roach that day. I had 112, 110, 1.4, 1.3, 1.5 pounders, loads and loads. And in amongst them I had some wonderful perch as well. And again, I had no perch under £1. They were, the biggest I had was dead on £3. I had 2 or 3 twos, big £1 fours, 110s, 114s. It was just an incredible day's fishing. But I wanted to catch this £2 roach. And when you get a gut feeling, you just think, well, I know there's one there, because I did bump what I think was a good fish. I was thinking to myself, I'm sure that was a good roach, because I just caught a couple of nice roach and then bumped one off. So it was round about 5 o'clock, and I sort of went over depth a little bit. I went up about another 6 inches, flicked it out. I sort of would flick out the float so that it would slap the water and then just come down in a straight line. So I was kind of using the rod as a whip, if you like. that sort of style. And the float settled, and after a little while it dipped, and then it just slid away, and I struck, and I thought, oh my god, this feels a good fish. It thumped a couple of times, then it went out, and I had obviously the clutch set really loose, and it gave a bit of line as it goes out. The float come up, and then it started kiting, and I thought, this is a roach, this is a big roach. And I'm keeping fairly calm, and I'm playing this fish, and it's gone back to the, and I've got it on for about probably over a minute now. I'm taking me time. I'm just praying that I've got a decent hook hold on it. And then it kited in towards the margin, so I'm getting a little bit worried now, so I'm sort of lifting my rod up, and I'm sort of reeling in slowly, and then it sort of surfaced and rolled over, and I could see this big silver flank. And then that's when I went to pieces. The old heart started thumping. I can actually hear my heart banging in my head, you know. And I think, this is it. I'm going. I'm talking to myself. I'm the only one on the lake. And I'm thinking, this is it. This is it. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. This is it. And I got the landing net ready, and it come up, and I went to net it, and it went back down again. I could see it's the biggest roach I've ever seen. And eventually I slipped the net underneath it, and I just paused for like 10 seconds, and I'm thinking, please let it be a roach, because you kind of think, have I mistaken it as an hybrid? Not that I'd caught any hybrids, but you start down, and I gradually brought the net pan to it. I looked down and saw this humongous roach in the net pan. And I would have to say that the next 5 minutes that followed on from that was probably the most amazing feeling I've ever had fishing. It was just an incredible feeling of achievement, really. And I had some photos done, because the self-timer, set the little tripod up, done a couple of little videos of it. There is actually a video on the channel of that fish, and it was just an incredible feeling. And I don't think the feeling that fish, because it was a fish I've always wanted to catch, I don't feel that any other fish or any other angling moment, and I've had some fantastic angling moments over the years, I really have, but that, from a personal point of view, has not been matched before or after. And I'm hoping that I will get to have that feel that same feeling again. And what I did was, it made the Angler's Mail, it made the Angling Times, and I had this little frame made up just to, so that I'm going to put it on the wall in here, just to sort of mark that occasion, because there was the first roach over 2 pounds. It was 2 pounds 10 ounces and 4 drams, caught on Abbey Lake, 5th of April 2018. And there's a little bit there from the Angler's Mail, which was dated, both of them come out the same day, so it's April the 17th 2018. And then the Angling Times wrote, near £3 roach, 3 of the best. There was 2 other big roach caught in that same sort of period as well. But absolutely fantastic to have just felt what I felt, and that's what angling gives to people, you know. And it drives you, spurs you on for that next session. And like the motto of the channel is, a possibility in every cast, and there really is a possibility in every cast, because there's a possibility that I could feel that feeling again in the next cast. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please subscribe if you haven't, or at least please like the video. It'd be fantastic if you can. And like I say, going to see if I can reach my 4,000 subscribers target by the end of the year. If you want to see more videos like this, then just drop a line, please do. If there's anything that you want me to chat about, if you've seen anything in the Angler's Den that you want me to chat about, I'm happy to do that. But in the meantime, I'm looking forward to having 3 perch sessions, and I'm going to film them all for the channel in January. And 2 of the places I've never been there before, so I'm always excited to go to new places. So anyway, I'll leave you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again here on Fishing Tale Films very, very soon. Look at that roach, 2 pounds, 10 ounces. I'm absolutely over the moon. Incredible fish, fish of a lifetime for me. Absolutely fantastic. Leamington Lakes, thank you very much. I've been trying to catch one of these all of my fishing career, and gobsmacked. Fantastic. Yes.